All right, so let's set the scene. We're talking 50 BC. The Roman Empire has pretty much swallowed up all of Gaul. Well, almost all of it. There's this one tiny village, you see, full of these fiercely independent Gauls who just refuse to give in. For them, life's pretty sweet. Hunting wild boar, getting into friendly scraps, and just being Gauls, through and through.
So, take a look. On one side, you've got their cozy little world, this village tucked away in the forest, totally at peace. But then there's Julius Caesar. He is just done getting his legions clobbered by these guys. So, he comes up with this new plan, and honestly, it's kind of sneaky. He figures if I can't beat them with swords, I'll beat them with civilization. Yeah, his big idea, which you see on the other side, is to build a massive modern Roman city, a high-rise complex, basically, right on their doorstep to smother them.
And you gotta admit, it's a wickedly smart plan. It's basically warfare by gentrification. The thinking is, if you can't conquer them, you just absorb them. Drown out their old ways with all the glitz and glamour of Roman city life, the shops, the noise, the fancy apartments, until they completely forget what it even means to be a Gaul. And to pull this whole thing off, Caesar calls in the big guns.
This is Anglegus. He's not a general, he's a star architect, an award winner. He rolls up with his blueprints and a massive crew of slaves to start tearing down the forest, literally right next to the village. Now, the first Roman surveyors who show up, yeah, they get sent packing by Asterix and Obelix in about 5 seconds, as you'd expect. But this guy, Anglegus, he's different. He's not scared off. He's got a vision, He's an artist, and he is dead set on building his perfect, orderly Roman city right on top of this wild, messy forest.
So that's the big question, right? How do you fight something like that? It's not an army. It's an idea. Well, the Gauls are about to show us. They get seriously creative. And hey, if you're digging this story so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button for the explainer. You're not going to want to miss how they fight back. Okay, let's get into their first move.
All right, so the Romans get to work. They've got this huge team of slaves, and they start clearing the forest. But here's the thing. The Gauls don't just charge in and start a brawl. Nope. This time, they're going to let nature do the fighting for them. And it all comes down to their druid, Getafix, who has this, well, it's a much more clever and, let's be honest, way funnier plan.
The plan is genius in its simplicity. Getafix whips up a special potion that makes these magic acorns. Then, in the middle of the night, Asterix and Obelix just creep into the construction zone and plant them. The result? Instant chaos. We're talking a massive whoosh as full-grown trees just explode out of the ground. They completely wreck any foundations the Romans laid. All that hard work? Gone. Undone in a matter of seconds.
I mean, can you imagine being a Roman there? It's just nuts. Every single time they clear a section of forest, bam, the next morning it's all grown back. It's like the forest itself is rejecting their city. The slaves are completely demoralized, the Roman officers are losing their minds, but Anglegus, he just keeps going. And that pushes the Gauls to their next brilliant, chaotic idea.
So Asterix and Obelix look over and see these poor, exhausted slaves, and they get an idea. Why not share the wealth? They give them a little taste of the magic potion, and suddenly these tired workers are absolute powerhouses. They get the job done in no time flat, and with that newfound energy, they feel empowered. They go on strike. They demand better pay, better food, even their freedom. And it works. The Gauls literally just unionize Caesar's entire construction crew.
And this quote right here, it tells you everything you need to know about Anglegus. But I'm going on. Even if I have to work the slaves to death, I'm going on. The guy is completely obsessed. He's this symbol of unstoppable progress, right? But he's also an artist who's about to have a total meltdown. His project is a mess, his workers are on strike, but he does not care. He is going to finish this building no matter what it takes.
And against all odds, he actually does it. The first building, Insular 1, goes up. They hold a lottery back in Rome, and pretty soon, the first Roman family shows up. They're all excited for this quaint, rustic country living experience. Instead, the first thing they see is Obelix, who just wants to play a friendly game of war. Yeah, the family figures out real fast that this isn't some peaceful getaway. They've moved right into the middle of a war zone.
But the Gauls? Oh, they've been saving their secret weapon, their ace in the hole. And his name is Cacophonix. He's the village bard. Now, his special talent isn't exactly making beautiful music. It's the opposite. His singing is so legendarily, apocalyptically bad that it's basically a weapon. We're talking sonic warfare that can literally make it rain and drive people insane.
So what do the Gauls do? They move Cacophonix into the apartment right above the new Roman family. That night, he starts to sing, and the sound is just unbearable. It's so awful, the Romans think the whole building is falling down on top of them. The next morning, they are gone, packed up and headed straight back to Rome.
So, it looks like another win for the Gauls, right? Well, maybe not. This is where Caesar's plan gets really, really clever. The whole situation is getting crazier by the minute. And by the way, if you're enjoying this kind of deep dive, hitting that subscribe button is a huge help for the channel.
Right when the Gauls are celebrating, something shifts. The apartment is empty, sure, but then a whole wave of new Roman tenants moves in. And they bring something new with them, a marketplace. And what happens? The Gauls start shopping there. Suddenly their own blacksmith and fishmonger are jacking up their prices to compete. This creates jealousy, arguments. The village starts to turn on itself. And just like that, without a single sword being drawn, Caesar's plan is actually working.
So get this, the very thing that's about to tear the Gauls apart isn't an army, it's shopping, it's consumerism. But then, the most Gaulish thing imaginable happens. A petty argument about the price of fish explodes into a massive village-wide brawl. It's total chaos. And in the middle of that big, crazy fight, they remember who they are. They're a team. And they realize the real enemy isn't the guy next door. It's that giant Roman building.
Okay, so the village is united again, and Anglicus knows he's in trouble, so he plays his last card. He's done pretending this is about civilization. He kicks Cacophonix out and moves an entire army of Roman soldiers into the building. It's a full-on military takeover. And that is the last straw. The chief, Vital Asterix, sees this and says, "That's it." The whole village chugs some magic potion, and they march right up to the mansions of the gods.
And this moment is just priceless. You have this mob of super strong Gauls ready to tear the place down, and this one Roman guard steps up and says, "Stop! Stop! This is private property!" I mean, come on. It's the perfect picture of civilized rules versus pure unstoppable chaos, and you can probably guess which one is about to win.
And that's it. The gloves are off. The Gauls just pour into the building. You can just imagine it. The air thick with plaster dust from smashed walls. Doors just exploding into splinters from Obelix's punches. And the whole time, you just hear the sounds of Romans getting tossed around, echoing all through the fancy stairways. This isn't really a battle. It's a demolition party.
So this grand Roman project, right? This monument that was supposed to last forever? Yeah, it couldn't even survive a couple of hours of a Gaulish party. Caesar's big dream of conquering people with fancy apartments and civilization, it comes crashing down. And I mean that literally. The whole building is just pushed past its breaking point, and it just collapses. It's a pile of rubble. And all that's left is the architect, Anglicus, just sitting there crying in the middle of the ruins of his masterpiece, his perfect, orderly vision completely shattered by the exact chaos he was trying to tame. So, the cleanup is fast. The Roman soldiers, what's left of them, they retreat. And in this weirdly sweet moment, Obelix feels bad for the crying architect, so he gives him a menhir, a big standing stone, a little piece of real Gaulish culture to take home. Then, Getafix works his magic one last time. They sprinkle those magic acorns over the ruins, and whoosh, the forest just springs back to life, completely covering up any trace that the mansions of the gods were ever there.
And just like that, we're right back where we started. The village is safe, the forest is back, and Caesar's sneakiest plan is a total failure. He threw everything at them: luxury, shopping, modern architecture. But he just didn't get it. He didn't understand that their wild, unbreakable spirit was way stronger than any building. They didn't just win a fight, they won a war for who they are.
And that, my friends, is the story of the mansions of the gods. It's such a great story about pushing back against a culture that's trying to swallow you whole. If you had a good time with this explainer, do us a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the explainer. We've got plenty more of these coming. Thanks so much for hanging out. But it kind of leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? I mean, the Gauls won this round for sure. They stopped civilization from creeping in. But in the grand scheme of things, can any community, no matter how tough, no matter how much magic potion they have, really fight off cultural change forever? Or were they just buying themselves a little more time? It's definitely something to chew on.